G'day mates, how you going? Do you know when to use few? How about little? Do you get confused when you have to use less or even least? Have you heard these words before? Now, what is fewer or fewest? Well, the key difference here is who they describe, which noun they are describing. Is it a count noun or is it a non-count noun? Is it a countable noun? Is it a non-countable noun? Let me try to make this distinction a little bit easier for you. First of all, let's break it down into what's countable, what's uncountable. Well, the countable ones here are few, fewer, and fewest. Now, what are these words are all the same. And we use them with countable noun. The idea is that one is comparative, one is superlative of form of few. Now, when do we use them? With countable nouns, count nouns, which are things that we can count one by one. For instance, one person, two people, one plant, two plants, three plants, four plants, five plants. Okay, so we are counting. So everything that we can count, we use few, fewer, or fewest. Few is for small quantities, small amount. It's the opposite of many. Now, we use few usually in a negative tone. Let's say I have 10 students in a class and the minority of these students, maybe 2 or 3 students show up, come to class. I could say like, oh man, I don't know what happened today. It might have been because of the rain, but I only have few students in class today. So it's a negative tone. I wish I could have more students in my class today, but unfortunately I have few students, 2 or 3. It's not a specific number, but I know, and the person hearing the message knows that few is a low amount, a small amount, and a small amount of something that I'm not happy with. Another example could be like, always go to work by car. However, unfortunately, my company does not offer any parking spaces for the employees. And the problem isn't that one specifically, but it could be that unfortunately, especially because it's a very busy area, there are usually few spaces, parking spaces, for me and other employees to park their cars on a daily basis. And we can spend a long time looking for a parking space, finding a parking space for ourselves before we can actually stop our cars and go to the building so we can start working. Now, fewer, as I have said, comparing two amounts. Today is a holiday, today is vacation, I could say my city is not a touristic city, so today there are fewer people and fewer cars than yesterday, because a lot of these people are traveling to a different place, to a touristic place, which means that fewer people today, not a lot of people, a smaller amount if I compare today and yesterday, are in the city. Even if we go back to my example of the 10 students having 2 or 3 students in class, usually I have 10 students in class. But today, yesterday I had 10 students. Today I have only 2, 3 students. I have few students in my class. I could say, if I want to compare with yesterday, what's happening? There are fewer students than yesterday compared to yesterday. What happened? Everybody was here yesterday. Why are there fewer students than yesterday? Why do we only have 2 or 3 people today if we had 10 yesterday? And fewest, as I had mentioned, is the superlative form, which is the smallest amount based on a group, usually 3 or more. I can use the example of my students. I have 10 students, 10 exercises for all my students. Then I can say, I have Peter, I have John, I have Mary, I have Sarah, I have John. I don't know if I said John already, but let's give these 5 here names. And I could say, if I compare from these 5, Sarah was the student with the fewest mistakes, which means everybody, all these 5 students that I mentioned the names, made mistakes. Something was not correct in their activities. But if I compare, one had 6 mistakes, the other one had 5 mistakes, the other one had also 6 mistakes, the other one had 8 mistakes, and the other one had two mistakes, which is Sarah. So Sarah had two mistakes, which means that she had mistakes, but the fewest mistakes if I compare with all the mistakes from all the other students. Now, on the other side, the expressions little, less, and least is when we use with uncountable nouns. Words like time. We don't count time, 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, 4 times. No. When I talk about hour, okay? So I say 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. I count the hours, I count the minutes, but I don't count the time itself. Water. We don't count water. 1 water, 2 waters, 3 waters. No. We count the liters of water. 1 liter of water, 2 liters of water, 3 liters of water. Yeah, we count the glasses. 1 glass, 2 glasses, 3 glasses, 4 glasses of water. So we count the glasses, we count the liquid, yeah, we count the liter, but we do not count the water itself, the liquid. Okay, and in English also another word that is pretty common that people confuse, 2 words, actually 3 words, are information, feedback, and advice. Information, feedback, advice are words that are uncountable. If I use the word little alone, it may sound negative. Okay, so let's say I need a lot of information about a certain project and I'm expecting my employee to give me that. I say, let me see what you have today. And the person comes to me and says, sorry boss, I have little information about this project today. See, little information. I use little with information to show a small amount of information. It is not a specific what amount, but it is a specific that is a small amount and probably not enough. Now when we use less, also for uncountable in that case, and comparing two amounts. For instance, stress is not a word that is countable. We don't count 1 stress, 3 stresses, right? So it's an uncountable word that we can use to compare. For instance, usually people who start a new job, they feel less stress in the first few months than they were feeling in their older jobs. So they feel some stress, but they feel less if we compare. And finally, least is the smallest amount for uncountable nouns. Let's say I have 5 students in my class, and from all the 5 students, Peter is the student who has the lowest grades and the lowest performance. I could say that Peter is the least fluent if I compare with other 4 people. Yeah, from the whole class, he is the least fluent. He has a good fluency, perhaps he could have. I'm not saying he does, he could have, yet he has the least if I compare with these 4 people. I'm not comparing to the world, I'm just comparing with these 4 people. Peter is the least fluent. Now, just a little note that a small change, such as having an article before few or little, changes the negative tone to a positive tone. For example, someone comes and asks me for help. If I can help them, even if a little, I say, sure, I have a few dollars here to help you out. Yeah, so that's a positive thing that I have. Even if a small amount, I have something to help that person. Or I'm looking for a parking space so I can get to work. And I talk to a guy on the street and I say, hey man, have you seen any parking spaces available here? And the guy would come to me and say, oh sure, there are a few parking spaces available in the next block. You know, just go straight forward, just go straight ahead. That's a positive thing. That there are, even in a small amount, that's a positive tone. Because yes, I will find a place to park my car, to stop my car. So that's a positive thing, right? Now let's say as a tourist, you can speak English and you go to Japan and everybody that you meet speaks Japanese but do not speak English. You start to get desperate, but then there's a light at the end of the tunnel that tells you of a person who comes to you and says, there's that person who speaks a little English. That's positive. It's a positive tone. I'm not saying little English. I'm saying a little English. Yeah. And even a small amount is important in this scenario because most people do not speak the language. And then you find one person to whom you can speak to help you out with whatever question you may have. Now, I hope this lesson has helped you understand better the difference between countable nouns, uncountable nouns, and the difference between using especially few, and little, or a few and a little. Feel free to comment here with some messages in my video. Sentences with few, a few, little, a little, fewer, fewest, less, least. So I can analyze your sentence and even comment in your sentences, perhaps using these expressions as well for practice, because practice makes better. Stay sharp. Thanks for watching. Peace.